This is the Nerd Cave Awards. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, John Stevenson. John, welcome to the show.
You had to do it one last time for the year, didn't you?
I had to do it one last time. Bro.
So,
John, I'm glad that you're here. We've got an awesome show planned for everybody. And tonight will be the one time that I call John the whole time instead of
no, you don't have to. You don't have to.
The one time I keep the name.
What?
He says, I sent you a message to check your Wonder Picks. I cracked a God pack. Oh my gosh. Definitely going to have to do that after the show because I definitely want some of those. Guys, welcome to the stream. This is a special episode. This is our last one of the year. I'm super excited about this one. Derek and I have been chatting back and forth through the week on what the different categories are, and we want to hear your thoughts and opinions. But thank you for being here, everybody. Without you, the show would not go. You're the people that watch and listen, and we do really appreciate that. And before we get into the discussion of this week, Derek, I have to ask, have you been playing anything?
Well, I'm glad you asked, and I had to get it in on the 11th hour, but your boy platinumed Ghost of Tsushima again on the PlayStation 5.
Let's go. I don't know if that's coming through or not, but
yeah, it is. So
okay, cool.
At least on my end. So I realized I'm like, I got time on Wednesday. Let me see if I can attain it because I checked my trophy list. I had like 4 trophies left before I popped the platinum, and I did it. I beat the story on Sunday. I beat the story, still as emotional as ever. That final gut-wrenching battle with your uncle. And I stuck with the same choice I did back in 2020. Spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't want to know Ghost. You got 3 seconds, 2, 1. I murked him.
I put him down like a dog.
Yeah,
what I mean. Wolf.
I did it the first time, and part of me was like, "What if I changed it?" I'm just like, "Nah, let's stick with it." Because part of me wonders, what if Yotei has anything to do, like, obviously it's 300 years in the future from when Tsushima happens, but it's like, what if it goes off that final choice just somewhat, just somehow it alters some, like, the storyline. So I'm just like, let me stick with the canon, or the one I want to, the one it makes sense for me in my playthrough. So, and then I looked at the trophies. I'm like, okay, this is possible. The one where it was like, I have to collect 20 records, and I'm just like, I don't feel like tracking these, but then I remembered one of the suits lets you like you can change it to the map to set the wind to a record, and then you wear like the Ronin attire, or no, the Wanderer attire, and it blips when you're near a record. So I'm like, okay, not bad. I only have 8 left, so pop the trophy. Now I'm going to wait till beginning of January to play Iki Island, rectify that sin because I never played it on PlayStation 4. So
that's exciting, man. I'm glad that you're through it, because when Yotei, the trailer popped, you were like, oh, I think I'm going to play it. And now you've already played it. Then you get to do Iki Island, which will lead you into hopefully the release summer, of next year and everything. So you'll be ready to go. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. So it was good. And I got to play a little bit. I played a little bit more Astrobot as well. Like I texted you about it, but they did a holiday level the day we did the Game Awards. Didn't get to play it beforehand, but then I got to play it Sunday, and it is super fun. Like it is pretty much like another hub world, like another like desert planet, but it's like festive theme. Like you get a bunch of collectibles, you get 7 more bots to pick up.
Cool.
So and you get like a costume and some paint jobs like throughout it. Like you're just pretty much going through the level, like pretty much trying to do everything. And they give you, I think, almost every power up in that level that you get throughout the entire game. Because it's like certain ones, like certain chunks of that little hub world where it's like, all right, I need this one for this one for that. So it's a very fun, festive level. If you are big on the holiday season, definitely check that out. I did also beat I did go back to the main game and beat two of the sacred symbols levels again. So I got two more bots in that. I still got three more before I'm done. But
Yeah.
but I have technically, because of and then I played 4 of the 5 time trial levels, got 4 of the bots there. And the bot, have you played any of the time trial levels, Zach?
No, I haven't.
Because when we saw the trailer, we thought it was all about, oh, you get to pick which bot you get, but it's really, there's 2 birds in the level, one red, one blue. The blue is a slower one. Whichever time you beat, you get that bot. So if you beat both of them, you get both bots. But if you only beat the blue one, you only get that one.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I'm glad that you don't have to go back again, especially if they're as difficult as the sacred symbols levels and all of that.
Yeah.
That would be frustrating.
It is difficult from the time, because if the bird is ahead of you, that means you're already lagging. So that means you're behind. So it gets your creative juices flowing, because there was one, I almost had it. I almost beat the red bird, but I was just a hair too slow on a jump. And it basically, like, it was an ice level, and it's like you're sliding. It's like, all right, I understand it now. Like, you're seeing like the shortcuts in order to beat the bird. But there's one, I played the 5th level, but it's like you have to use the monkey hands, and I was getting beat by the bluebird. And I'm like, I don't know how you're supposed to beat this. That monkey tries to like go too slow, and then with reading the controller, it's just a little too sensitive sometimes. So I don't know, but I did beat 2 of the other secret symbols levels. I got 6. I got how many bots? So I got 6 between the speed run and the 2 sacred symbols, and then I got 7. So I've got 13 new bots, and that put me over the 300 mark to get that final, like, all of the sacred symbol challenge. So I haven't tried that yet. I've heard it's a beast.
Yeah. I need to jump back in and play it, because I am like 2 galaxies out from finishing it. So I didn't go back and play. For me, I played a little bit of Marvel Rivals Tuesday.
Oh, how was that?
It's pretty enjoyable. I wish I would have spent a little bit more time figuring out some of the stuff, because I just literally just jumped in. I didn't even do the tutorial or practice range. I just literally jumped into a quick match. So I played Loki. I played Squirrel Girl, Jeff, which is the shark character.
Oh, yeah, the baby shark.
And then Adam Warlock. Those are the ones that I played so far. And then Penny Parker, which is it's like the mech suit version of Spider-Man. She's a tank. It's pretty fun. Like, I will say, it is so much better than Overwatch.
I was just about to say, is this what Overwatch 2 hoped to be?
Yeah, like the graphics are cool, the animations are, and there are so many characters.
Yeah,
there's so many characters to choose from. It's almost a little overwhelming, to be honest. But yeah, I played about an hour or so, and I could see myself going back to it. I think you would actually like it because of your love for Marvel and video games, kind of like combining and everything. And so I suggest you check it out. Maybe we could play together.
Yeah. So, hey, it's an idea. So we'll keep that on the back burner.
Derek just confirmed that he's not going to play it, guys. That's what that was. Yeah, we'll put it on the back burner, just like Derek joining our Fable group, which we're crushing right now over there. So should go join that. Because we're watching Dan to Dan right now.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It just got confirmed, because I know they're about to have Jump Fest here. I don't know if it's this weekend or next, or it may be this weekend, but they just confirmed Dan to Dan is getting a season 2.
Nice. I would have figured that it would have, just because how popular it is.
Oh yeah.
And like the numbers it's doing is probably crazy.
I'll say that first episode spawned so many memes. Like, let's be honest. So
yeah, exactly. What's up, Mikey? Hope you're doing well, man.
What up, Mike?
Amy, that's an idea. That was cold, Derek. Yeah, it was cold. Yeah, trying to spend some time with my friend, and he just
I can't promise. I hate to promise, and then I was go back on it. You know what I mean? Sith only deals in absolutes.
Yeah. Other than that, of course, I've been playing Pocket. They released a new pack this week on Tuesday. It's the Mythical Pack, which are Mythical Island Pack, and been playing it, getting some new cards. I think it's breathing some new life into it, because seeing the same cards over and over and over again does get a little bit of tiresome. So I'm enjoying it a lot. So I'm excited, and can't wait to see once I get enough cards from this deck or this pack, essentially, like start building some new and interesting decks and everything. So it is changing a lot of things in the meta of the game now, because they introduce some interesting new cards. So I'm excited, but that is what we're playing right now. Let's get into.
I was just going to say, because I thought I read something, was it this morning, where they nerfed Mewtwo EX, I think?
I didn't see that.
They nerfed it, and then they gave a boost to Pikachu. I want to say they did something.
Why in the world would they give a
not
boost
Pikachu,
to Pikachu?
Maybe it was Mew. I don't know, but they nerfed Mewtwo. I know that for a fact.
Let's see. Looks the same to me. Maybe it's coming down the pipe, but yeah, my Mewtwo has the same amount of points and everything. I do have a cool Mew now. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that is dope. That is. That's one thing I will say about the new generation of Pokemon cards. That the artworks are dope.
Yeah. I haven't. Nate says I haven't seen any nerfs. Propaganda. Yeah.
Propaganda.
So, all right, Derek, it's time. And we normally put this at the end of the show. We normally bury the lead, but our goal is to give you as much value in the shortest amount of time. Okay? Because Derek has to get up early. I have to get up early. All those good things. We want to value your time. So, to start off, game of the year. We're not doing this Game Award style. We're not giving you a bunch of ads and all of that. We're first up, game of the year. All right. There's a lot of them, and the way I kind of think of game of the year, it's not even just things that have come out this year. It's games that we've played this year. So, Derek, what is your game of the year? If I don't already know.
Part of me, since you threw that curveball in, because I wasn't anticipating that, but obviously an honorable mention for me is Ghost of Tsushima. The director's cut, replaying that, and just seeing how that world is fleshed out, and just like the Pillar of Honor, when you find the Pillars of Honor, it's a cool little sound effect when you find one. But just seeing bodies strewn about and just walking across random parts of the island and just seeing a random body with and this is going to sound morbid, but with arrows in its back or just blood spilled. It's just it makes you feel hey, this world is being invaded by an enemy faction. They are taking no prisoners. So, and that it was just so super fun to play through again. Story top tier, it hits all the right emotional beats, even the side characters. But my game of the year is something that did come out this year. And it is one that won the Game Awards Game of the Year, Astrobot. A little game that, has only probably sold 2 million copies, one Game of the Year. We did it. But it goes back to just and it reminds me of, my PlayStation did the update where it did the themes with throughout the generations. Put it on the PlayStation 2 because that was the first PlayStation.
Same.
Because that was the first PlayStation I ever owned. And it was just so nostalgic. You had God of War, you had the platformers back in the day, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, all that stuff. And PlayStation has it all in there for you to love, throughout the generations, oldies, Johnny come latelys, the ones that have peaked what PlayStation, defined what PlayStation has become, and those extra epilogue levels after you beat the main boss, still the best done one, and call us biased, but God of War, like the God of War level was just done like like summoning the serpent, having the hammer, the freeze, or the not the hammer, the axe
Leviathan.
To freeze objects, to the ravens showing up to take them out and like that be a trophy you pop. Like it is just so well done. They took so much attention to detail, curated something so magical. Even like the sacred symbols levels, as infuriating as they can be, they make you think. And they almost treat it like a time trial challenge, but it's not. You're the only thing that's stopping you is your own self. But it was just done well, and it showed that if you've done right, platformers could still hold a place in the gaming sphere, despite all the live service, multiplayer, online action games. There's still a place for platformers that's not on a Nintendo console in the gaming sphere. So Astrobot is my game of the year.
I love it. I love it. I've played a good bit this year, not as much as I would like to. I feel like last year I probably played more games, especially leading up to this point of the year. I'm thinking back is like I literally took time off to play Spider-Man 2, which is still an amazing game. And then Vinba and Cocoon and all of that. Like I had more time on my hands.
Sea of Stars,
yeah. Like that I finished this year, so technically I could go with that. But the games that I've played this year, there's a few that stand out. Like playing Astrobot made me feel like a kid again.
Exactly.
Like, grinning ear to ear, so excited to turn on the console, jump in there, share that with people, because again, like you're having characters from PlayStation 1 onwards, even some stuff that was like beforehand, with some little thing that's like by the PlayStation 5. I don't even know what it was, but like being somebody that has been part of the PlayStation ecosystem since the PlayStation 1, it just hit all of these things. But I would be remorsed not to give another game my game of the year.
Is it another PlayStation exclusive?
It is not.
Oh,
it is something that has really excited me. It has made me, like, when I know that I'm super excited about a game, Derek, I start watching videos about it. I start digging into it. I get excited about, just talking to people. Like I start like not proselyting, but I start like talking about it and trying to get people into the game and get more people into it. And that game is Pokemon Pocket.
Okay. All right.
Like I have loved that game so much. I've spent so much time on it. And yes, it's not as shiny or whatever, but it hits on that same kind of nostalgia as Astrobot does. And because it is free to play, and its monetization structure is not whack, like I've just really, really enjoyed Pokemon Trading Card Pocket. I just call it Pokemon Pocket because that's way easier. But it has just been so much fun, and seeing like all the people on the streams enjoying it and wanting to battle online, getting more people involved in it. I've been excited, and now we're getting more new content for it. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But another honorable mention would be Helldivers 2. I almost gave it to Helldivers 2, but it didn't have the legs that it needed to for the rest of the year. But it was still a really, really great game for sure.
Yeah. So good on you. Because I was expecting you to go to Helldivers 2, honestly, because I know you had so much fun with it. I know you hadn't had fun with a multiplayer game since Halo 5 originally dropped. So
Infinite, not 5.
Infinite, sorry. Whoa.
Don't bring up that piece of junk.
Whoa, my bad. But yeah, so I was thinking that, but it makes sense because you have been so obsessed with that. That has been what your last like month's worth of playthroughs on Tuesday.
Yep.
So
And like anytime I have downtime, I'm playing or I'm looking up stuff, like I'm looking up how to build better decks and everything. It's kind of like when I went through my Overwatch phase where I was literally like consuming content and watching different things and all of that. So
right.
yeah, almost like Halo again in a way, Halo
Yeah,
Infinite.
that's a
So
fair point.
all right, guys, we want to know your game of the year. Put them down in the chat. We'll bring them up as we go through the episode and everything. But some good choices. Some good choices right there. And if you got a PlayStation, you should definitely check out Astrobot. If you have a phone and like Pokemon, you should check out Pokemon Trading Card Pocket. So next up is biggest story of the year. There's some bangers in here, some things that are our favorites.
Yeah.
One is definitely our favorite one. Once we heard it and it was like finally came true that it was that it happened and everything. And then there's some just things that kind of shocked and awed, and it was like a train wreck. You couldn't take your eyes away from it. So
Right.
Derek, what is your biggest story from the year 2024?
So there was several ones, like, obviously to bury the lead, just to give a few. Some of my top ones, obviously were Jim Ryan, the whole Concord debacle, and then Game Informer shutting down. Like I like, and again, it's sort of like when you go back to the game release calendar and you realize, oh, this game came out in February. It feels like it came out. It either hasn't come out yet or it came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
But Game Informer earlier this year shut down. And I think, like, yes, while Jim Ryan leaving was such a great boon and a thing for PlayStation, especially after the debacle of that PlayStation showcase that was pretty much the live service showcase, and then Jim Ryan pushing that initiative, it has to be, in my opinion, Game Informer shutting down, because that has been such a big, like, that was the last huge, like, international video game magazine like left standing. Like, yes, I know there's some overseas, but like in like Europe and UK, but it's not like it is like here, right, where video game magazines were like a dying breed. And Game Informer was like the last bastion of that era. And yes, did it go through some ups and downs being partnered with GameStop? Did it pretty much get itself like handcuffed to that to stay alive? Yes, it did. And it took it on the chin, but they still persevered. And even going from 12 issues a year to 10, they still put it out and did some really good storytelling, or really told some interesting like cover pieces. The reviews, the reviews were the only thing that I guess made the Achilles heel of Game Informer, because when everyone else would give a game a low score, they'd still give it like a moderate, like 7 or 8. And I was like, most sites gave it like a 5 or 6. Like, how legitimate is this? But again, it's all subjective at the end of the day. But when we got it shut down, it was like a gut punch to the gut, man, because Game Informer had been around for so long. Like, I remember collecting so many of the magazines, and like after about a year, I would go through, I would go through and just like throw away, like, say I got August issue, I would throw away August of the previous year, but I would look through it just to like remember like how far we've come in the last 12 months, like what happened around this time, what were the most anticipated games, like just looking back and having that piece of history to look through was always nice. And the fact that it's taken away and like you can't even, like, I know they're trying to do preservation to where you can get the art, like the old magazines and whatnot. We haven't heard anything on that since then, but I think that was the last, because again, like working at GameStop, like it was always a great thing to look forward to. Like, what's the cover piece? Because some of it would be, sometimes you get a cover announcement that would be, oh, it's a new announcement, like at E3, like, oh, they just announced the next, like Assassin's Creed Origins was announced at E3, and then like literally later that day, they're like, all right, the Game Informer cover article is covering Assassin's Creed Origins. So just to have that and basically know that in the next few weeks you'd have more information at the tip of your fingers was nice to have.
Yeah, and like having the deep dives, and the cover art was always amazing. Like they always crushed it. Like it got you so excited for a game, even if you didn't know anything about it,
Correct.
And growing up with even more like EGMs and Nintendo Power, and PlayStation had one as well. And then there was some offshoots of different things, but like seeing all of that, like growing up was such a cool thing. I remember like going to the grocery store and they would have like a magazine rack, and you could, read the, you can get the codes and all of this. And some of them had demo disc. I don't know if you remember those, Derek, or not, but
Yeah, I never did the demo disc, but I vaguely remember them. Yeah.
yeah, and it was so exciting to get those and all of that. But yeah, that was a huge one. Amy says, seeing print media diminish like it has, it's such a weird, sad experience. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And magazines, like here in the US, I feel like more people are about going digital than anything else. If we can go digital, we definitely will. But then you look over like in Japan, like magazines are still going gangbusters over there. So for me, biggest story of the year would probably be Xbox closing Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin.
Yeah.
That was such a huge moment after them, getting Activision Blizzard this year, like actually closing all of that. And then saying that they're not going to lay anybody off, then they laid people off. They did that a few times this year, but this was such a huge one because Arcane, yes, had its issues with Redfall and all of that, which was awful story this year. But Tango having an amazing game with Hi-Fi Rush, you're like, oh, well, they're safe. Of course they're safe. And then, Xbox closes them and then like two others at the same time. And it was just like, what in the world is going on if a award-winning and highly coveted game company is closed? Who's safe?
Correct.
So who's safe?
And it proved the FTC right that, all their fears, a lot of their fears they had with Xbox purchasing. Now, granted, it was more layoffs. They didn't close any studios from Activision Blizzard, but they did lay off a ton of people over there that in that studios. But because of that, Bethesda was caught an unfortunate stray, and it was like, hey, we bought all these, and now we're gonna have to shut y'all down. Even though Hi-Fi Rush did well, you didn't do well enough. So
yeah. And then like having Tencent buying Tango Gameworks and bringing it back to life like a month or so after that happened was such a great thing to hear, because most of the industry, like we've just seen layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. Another, just win for the industry, Toys for Bob getting out of Activision Blizzard and being able to make games themselves again instead of servicing Call of Duty.
Right.
And like that is so exciting to see, because when it comes down to it, it's all about the games. It's not about like, yes, you got to make money because this is a business, but when the games suffer, less people buy.
Correct.
And some people will point at Warzone and be like, see, we're still making money, our Fortnite and all of that. And it's like, Yeah. Yeah, I think those are my big ones from that. And then, of course, Concord, like being pulled after 2 weeks and then them closing Firewalk, like crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And but that kind of lends to it, because now, granted, did we see it close 2 weeks? Did we see it failing 2 weeks into its lifespan and then the studio closing? I mean, we saw the studio closing after it shut down the game within 2 weeks. Like, the thing barely even broke 1,000 concurrent players on Steam.
Yeah.
But we kind of figured when we saw the initial unveiling of it, like we were like, all right, I don't know about this. And then when we saw the first official gameplay of it, we both were like, this ain't it, Chief. Like, we both knew going in, this wasn't it. Now, granted, again, did we see it happening like that lickety split. No, I thought it would be done by the end of the year, maybe a little bit bleeding over into the little bit of next year. But if you would have told me, oh, it's not even, it's barely, it's going to be shut down a week after Astrobot launches, I would have said you're crazy. No, the week of Astrobot launching, I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah, like I would have not have thought that. Like pardon me. There's usually like 2 weeks on a live service game that kind of like has its big peak or whatever, but this was one of those things that was just like, wow, we okay, and then they closed the studio right after. It was insane. And then you definitely see the change in guard, of course, Jim Ryan leading to the new dual CEOs and all of that. And thankfully we're focused on, games and not games of service and everything. So
correct.
But let's move on to our next topic, everybody, and that is favorite moment of the show. We've had a lot of different moments in the show, Derek. We've had we've had things, we've done things.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of episodes throughout the year. So, Derek, what is your favorite moment? I kind of want to get ahead of you here, but I'm gonna be a gentleman. What is your favorite moment of the year?
My of course, an honorable mention for me is like, and I don't remember if I brought it up last year when we did Nerd Cave Awards, but the moment popped in my head where we had Yugi and Falcon on. It was the Nerd Cave Awards last year where we had Yugi and Falcon on, and we were talking about most overrated games, and I said Breath of the Wild, and all of y'all's jaws just dropped. And because you brought it on me, then you zoomed back out to everyone. Falcon had left. Yugi was gobsmacked, and you're just sitting there like, I'm gonna have to find me a new co-host. But no, I think my other favorite moment, and this is not obviously video game related, Nerd Cave News related, but just starting another show to do, and that was Eat Sleep Anime. We had been talking about it all last year. We had been brainstorming, and we finally tried it, and we enjoy it to the fullest. It is getting us to both of us to watch anime. I think it was July or August that we started watching, having a show of the month type deal to watch. And this month is Dandadan, and I still have to watch it. I know the last episode just dropped today.
Was that the last episode today?
Yes.
My God, that's gonna suck so bad then.
Oh no!
Oh my God!
Oh. Zach's like, I need answers. I don't need.
Dude, the way they leave the episode, I was like, all right, next week I'll get an answer.
Nope. Sadly not. You have to wait till next next year.
Oh my gosh.
What if they don't do what if season 2 doesn't come out next year? What if you have to wait till 2026 or 2027? You'll be frothing at the mouth, being like, I need answers.
I gotta get the manga then if I'm on. The way they left it, I'm like, I don't think I can wait that long to get an answer. Anyway, keep going.
So, but no, and just again, just being able to do this and start doing an anime show of the month, and just getting you to watch new things and talk about you actually are sometimes you're one-upping me on shows to watch, and but you watch episodically. I just wait till the whole thing drops and then binge it. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're that far ahead of me. I just just have to pick my time to watch it. But no, that was probably my favorite thing of this year was that. I'm trying to think. And of course, this is gonna be my decision, everything. Spending time with you, man. Obviously it's it is always the number one thing of every year is going to be spending time with you.
Aww.
So
Aww.
not Amy with the shade.
I love it
because all Derek watches is One Piece. That's not all I watch, Amy. I'm currently rewatching
My Hero.
I'm currently rewatching season 6 of My Hero to watch season 7.
Yeah, I need to jump back into season 7. Yeah, man, I totally agree. Like, it is getting to do the show is like one of the best parts of my week. Because I get to hang out with you. You know, it's like the show is like we get to talk about the things that we care about and everything, but it is so nice because I don't talk to a ton of my friends, you know, on a regular. You're the only one that I actually talk to.
You forced me to love you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I ain't letting you go. I can't quit you.
It's like you're just like real. Like every time I try, I think I'm escaping you. You reel me back in. Be like, oh, you gotta be quicker than that.
Yep, can't get away from me. Can't get away from me. But for best moment of without that, because you know, would be the Yote announcement.
Yeah, it is. The only thing that why wasn't on there, and I'm saving it for another topic, is because we didn't like. Yes, we watched it, but we didn't react to it live on here. You know what I mean? Like we watched it, obviously, we rewatched it, but like in the moment, like the moment it dropped, like I'm texting you and be like, hey, just so you know, I'm ready. I already know what I already have Nerd Cave planned, and you're like, oh, I already know. I'm watching it too. I'm like,
yeah, I literally sent you a video of me reacting to it. But yeah, I definitely would say that. I enjoyed doing car thoughts while I wasn't doing the Tuesday night streams and everything. I thought those were fun. If I had more time, like it's either do Tuesday night streams or do car thoughts. Like I could do both, but you know, I don't have the time. But yeah, like within like a year of so many people getting laid off and like the industry just being in flux, like seeing the cool things, like seeing Naughty Dog's new game. Like I'm super excited about that.
Intergalactic, yeah,
Intergalactic. I totally forgot what it was, but yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, 2020. Obviously, Intergalactic may not come out next year, but it's the first half of next year is so exciting.
Michael says, "What was the year the Five Guys bet?" So
that was last year. Or was it 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago. That was 2022.
That was Pensacon.
Yeah. This year, Derek finally paid up his bet for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Which I wished Derek would start betting me again. I could get some free food.
Nope. I'm about to say, you have gotten enough free food off of me, sir. Even though the next time I see you, I'll probably pay for dinner. But, you know, it is what it is. But I don't want to have to I want it to feel natural. I don't want it to feel icky and forced. You know what I mean? Like,
you know, Derek, you know.
So,
all right, let's move into our next discussion here, guys. This is 2024 games, and we're going to do overhyped, underhyped, properly hyped. And I will look up a games list real quick.
Oh, I did it before the show, so I already have my picks.
Perfect. Then, Derek, I'm gonna let you go then.
So, what do we want to do first? Overhyped?
Sure. Like you give me. Well, Derek says I'll bet. Yeah, Derek doesn't want to bet because he knows he's going to get beat.
Yeah, you know, fool me once.
You know, I kind of want to just list a game and then we do like one of the, you know.
Yeah, we can do it on yours, but I have definitive ones for mine.
Okay. All right.
So my overhyped game, Star Wars Outlaws. Like that came out to the Ubisoft put so much marketing into that, trying to hype it up, trying to be like, oh, this is like this is going to be like an original Star Wars story. Like this is supposed to be like what Amy Hennig's game was supposed to be like. You're an outlaw, like you're sneaking around, you have a companion, all that kind of stuff. This is going to be like the AAA Star Wars game that you want, like up there with Star Wars Jedi. And it came out to a flop. It tried to be Assassin's Creed Star Wars in the beginning. I know they patched it since then to take out a bunch of these force stealth missions, but it didn't help. That does not make up for the fact that the character was dull. The world is boring. The story feels unoriginal for the most part. The villain is copy and paste, like mediocre, like insert typical heist movie villain here type deal. So, and the budget they put into it definitely added to the fact that it was so underwhelming on
quadruple
release.
A, man. Quadruple A.
Yeah, quadruple mess is what I want to say. Mess. So, and we both, and we're gonna, hands of accountability, as we say at work. We both were excited for it. We both we game share on PS5. We bought the gold edition with this, with the fancy stuff and all that, 3 days early access, and we were playing it, and we're like, this ain't it, Chief. So
yeah.
So this ain't it, Chief. So, and it wasn't the first one. Obviously, I think it got a little bit better for you, but your original thoughts with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero kind of felt that same way. So it feels like we don't need to buy the expensive editions anymore.
I will say Sparking Zero was at least a enjoyable game.
Correct.
But it wasn't hitting what I thought.
Right. It wasn't giving, as the youngsters say.
Yeah. It definitely didn't cook for me. For me, I found one and then I kept scrolling. Helldivers 2.
Overhyped?
No.
Oh.
I say Helldivers 2 now is appropriately hyped, but launching it was underhyped. Like
I agree.
Like nobody wanted to listen to us about Helldivers, my excitement or anything. Everybody was just like, no, man, this not, they didn't even want to talk about it. And then it comes out and then it takes the world by storm. So I feel like it's appropriately hyped now, but at the beginning it was definitely underhyped.
So for me, one that was underhyped because it did so well, like review wise, but it didn't do it the sales wise. And that's Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. That game came out compared to, not to get, how does it politically, do the politics of this, and it wasn't because it was a female lead, because and maybe because it hurt it, because we earlier, like 6 months ago or 6 months prior, we had another female lead, and that was Princess Peach Showtime, which was another overrated game, overhyped game. Like again, hands of accountability. Both of us were excited for it. You played it. Yeah, you played it, and you came out and it's like, it's cool. Not what lived up to be cool, but it's cool, and I think that put a sour taste. So when they said, oh, this is a Zelda focused game, like we're actually letting you play as the character that the game is named off of. But this one was actually good. Like all the reviews spoke to it, like all the review outlets, like Kind of Funny in them talked about how good the game was. But I feel like because whether it was Princess Peach Showtime underwhelming, or just the fact of, we got another Zelda game after coming off a year that the previous year we had Tears of the Kingdom, that people may have just been oversaturated with Zelda, maybe, I don't know, that there was no fanfare to it. It just came and went type deal.
Yeah, I feel like because it was such a different game, it didn't have like it's a specific place to go, and then like it definitely wasn't like Showtime, which still could have been a great game, but it wasn't everything. But I definitely want to play Echoes of Wisdom still. Underhyped for me would be Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like January, like
Yeah.
mid-January.
Early January, and it's such a good game.
Yeah.
Tons of fun, a lot of replayability. I even think they did DLC for it.
Yeah.
And I think because it was so early in the year, people forgot about it.
Me?
Yeah, and then them releasing the Rogue Prince of Persia,
You're right.
in May, like it was just like, hey, let's just throw Prince of Persia out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that game for sure is something that people need to look more at because the combat is super fun, and I think it's very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. My last one, my properly hyped game, in my opinion, is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Like, obviously, coming off a year where Elden Ring won Game of the Year, and then they announced DLC, and they were like, even you could even say it's a standalone game at this point because it was, what you think about the Game Award nomination aside, the fact that this DLC came out and people were so as hyped for it as the original base game. And it came out and it did gangbusters. You could almost argue it did better than Elden Ring in some circumstances. Mainly, I think because people already knew what to expect with this world, and it did extra things. Like it went back to like some of the stuff I saw. Like I don't know the lore of Elden Ring, but they did some more lore digging. Like one of the bosses was like something that was talked about in the game from years ago, in that timeline. And they did it. They addressed it. It was a boss character, and people lost their minds over it. It's like, oh, we get to fight against him type thing. The fact that it came out and it did gangbusters. It was also nominated for Game of the Year. I think it was appropriately hyped because we know what it brought to the table. It did the doggone thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think what they were able to do with Elden Ring and now Erdtree, and now that they're building even on top of that with the
Shadow Reigns,
the multiplayer that's coming out next year, I think it's continually building on that.
And did you see, just as a little side tangent, one good thing, one bad thing I saw with that the post announcement was the good thing was that they're going to cross streams with other genres. Like they're going to include Dark Soul bosses in this, which is like it's unique, but it's also like very cool. Like you get to use the mechanics of Elden Ring and fight a Dark Souls boss. That I don't know which ones they're bringing and from what if it's going to be something from all three games. But the weird the negative thing, which is more weird than anything, you can only either play it solo or with three people. Like you can't do just 2-player co-op.
Huh. That's a really weird choice.
It is. It's like you either let me solo them or you get a gang together, but you can't do it with just you and a friend, which is odd.
Yeah, I feel like that is a strange choice because even with like Ghosts of Tsushima Legends, you could still play not with a full party if I remember correctly. So
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. I think for me, I'm just looking through a bunch of different games that has come out this year. There's so many flipping games, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I think for me, overhyped, because that's one I haven't done, and I don't want to just pick Star Wars Outlaws, which that definitely was overhyped to death.
Yeah.
God, it was such a letdown, and I wanted it to be good. You know what I mean? It's like we wouldn't have.
We wanted to give you, because again, coming off Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, we thought Ubisoft was going to turn the corner and start making good games again, and we were fooled. But now watch. We're going to think the same thing that we did like post Outlaws with Shadows, like both of us, like especially since they Shadow canceled the season pass. Yep. We both are going into this thinking this game is not going to be good, and watch it be up for Game of the Year. You know what I mean? Or like one of the best games to come out at the beginning of the year. I don't think that, but that would be our luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I could see that beginning of the year, but I don't think it keeps that steam going. I'm going to say something controversial.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'm gonna say something controversial, and it's a game that both of us have played, and we put a good bit of time into it. But I feel like it's overhyped, and that is EA Sports College Football 25.
You said overhyped?
Overhyped. Like it was college football, but it felt soulless. It didn't feel like I didn't get the tinglies. Like Astrobot, I got the tinglies. I felt like I was back, playing that. And I know what I felt like playing college football back in the day. And I I might have had a few instances, but I didn't have that when I booted up the game the first time.
Right.
I wasn't excited. It did draw me in. And it might be because I'm in a different place, but I don't think that it executed fully what it needed to be.
Yeah.
And maybe 26 CFB 26 will be, the one or whatever, but just from, me, because I bought it with my own money and everything, because Derek had to buy it on Xbox.
The shade.
Just tossing it that way. But yeah, like I don't feel like it was that great. And even a game.
Oh, my boy Mike.
Just so you know, I was playing as Troy
in your Road to Glory, right?
In my Road to Glory.
Yeah,
I did have a dynasty that I played like 2 games with Florida. Yeah, I see you. We're gonna have to block that dude. Yeah.
No, I'll unblock you.
Ban.
Nah. Wow. Now, if you had said Florida State, I'd be like, Zach, you can't say anything to that.
Yeah. If it was Florida State, my God, I wouldn't even be on the show because I wouldn't deserve to be on the show. Another game that, hold on, I lost it after that comment. Another game that I feel like is overrated from the review scores. And it's a game that I've played. And I put a good bit of time into it. And I do enjoy it, but I don't feel that it lives up to what its predecessors were able to do with storytelling, is Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even though you've been obsessed with playing that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super easy to jump in and out of. Like, I am enjoying it, and I think because it's also on the Steam Deck and I can just play it, like, it's accessible. I don't have to come in here to play it and everything. But the story, like, I haven't played in like a few weeks. Derek, I don't remember being able to put down a Dragon Age game in the past.
Correct.
Like, when I started it, it's like, oh, I got to keep playing. Yeah. I can't wait to get home and see where this goes. Just another hour. Let me see how far I can go. Let me see what's going to happen. This, it's like, okay, I feel, I played for a little while. I can stop here.
Yeah.
And the game looks gorgeous. And there are fun parts. And I do like the combo system that you can, put different attacks together and all of that. But I feel like the writing is hindering it because I don't feel like I can be a jerk. Everything is super softened where it's like, oh, you're supposed to be a jerk here. It's like, you're sure about that? And
it doesn't feel like I need to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want to be able to literally kick somebody out a window or, do something crazy like that. But it's not that way. Everything feels a little bit more controlled, if you will. Yeah. Now, am I going to finish the game? Yes. But I do feel like games journalists and just, people in general kind of overhyped this game in the preview process. And I think, looking at it subjectively, it's not the best Dragon Age game. It might be the best looking, might be the best playing in some aspects, but the storytelling is definitely not the best.
Does this worry you? I may have asked you this before when we were and talked to your initial thoughts, but does this worry you about Mass Effect?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does. Just because if they take the same approach with the story, it's going to be lackluster.
Mhm.
Because I don't feel connected to any of the characters so far. And I'm
Ah,
12
and
hours in.
BioWare, you have to, because I mean,
Yeah.
that was the whole thing that Mass Effect was built on, was your character interactions.
Yeah, exactly. So, and everybody has pretty interesting stories, but it feels super surface level. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like there's any depth really there. There's no 7 layers to this cake. There's just a little bit of frosting and like a crumb. You know what I mean?
Well,
So, but will I continue to play? Oh yeah, I definitely will, because I want to play on my Steam Deck. So
yeah.
and again, it is a really gorgeous game. So,
Yeah.
but guys, you don't have to wait for gorgeous games. You don't have to do any of that, because you're here at the Nerd Cave, and the only way you can help us is by subscribing right now. It helps keep the lights and the mics on. It's our only advertising that we have here on the channel is you sharing the show, you saying, hey, I know you like them Vigima games, you nerd. Let's come to the Nerd Cave and let's have a good time with my friend Zach and my friend John Stevenson over here. And let's, hear about video games and all of that.
Yeah, bunch of nerds.
Yeah, bunch of nerds. So, guys, y'all share it. Make sure to subscribe. The Nerd Cave News is available on podcast services around the globe, especially when I put them up there, because I got really bad the second half of the year. I'm on. We need somebody to volunteer as tribute to just do that for me at this point, because
To do what?
to upload the podcast to
Oh yeah,
the podcast God's platforms.
because I mean, we had to fire Kevin. I mean,
Well, Kevin was embezzling.
oh, that's right.
Yeah. So if Kevin was still here, it would be a 2-person company. We're currently at 1.5. So,
yeah.
Yeah, Zach ain't pulling any punches tonight. No, I'm not.
Zach lives in the controversy.
I do. I am the controversy. I was born in it.
Molded by it.
You only adopted it. All right, Derek, it is your time to shine. I mean, John Stevenson, it's your time to shine. I already know which one it is. I already know, because it's your name tonight. It's John Stevenson, the CPA turned urban hitchhiking, crime fighting CPA. John Stevenson.
So no, that's actually my lowest. That's actually my worst name of the year, and that will be the worst name every year that you and like, because every week you ran with the game. You didn't do it after about maybe a couple months in. You would bring it back up, like a festered wound every once in a while. But you're like, oh, you would give me a real name. It's like, and his real name is John Stevenson. Like, and his name is John Cena. Type stuff. But no, obviously ranking it. My number one name was Marconius Dracon, the Great Wizard. That, I think, when it was announced, that was my number one name, and that stuck it for, I think, a good bit. Like, I almost want to say like almost half a year that name has stood the test of time at number one. So maybe longer, maybe shorter, I don't know, but it's been at least several months since that name has done that. But an honorable name and an honorable mention that I will throw out there was my number 3 name, High Goblin King Gilgamesh. So, like that was an honorable mention that I had. But a lot of this year was a year. Now, obviously, were they all bangers? No. Especially the ones that Zach put in, because this man has zero creativity. Unlike his wife, who puts in like a whole paragraph of expose, which is great. Does a great job with that. But like with y'all being into the reading sphere and her doing her own reading channel, that
Amy Arby Books, for anybody that wants to go subscribe,
share. She got very is philanthropic even appropriate here? But she got very Shakespearean with her names and her
prose.
Yeah. So it was definitely a solid year for names, especially in the top 10. So,
Derek, I don't I don't like the shade that you were throwing my way,
Yeah.
because my title at my job is creative marketing specialist. So I am
Well,
creative.
you're creative at your job, but when those juices have to come to the show, you barely bring anything.
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah.
fart in the wind. It just
Uh-huh.
comes and it goes.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty creative of putting you down, though.
Oh well, yeah, because you get that brings the juices back. But
Yeah,
when you have to
yeah.
actually say something about me that's maybe not necessarily negative, but like it's not positive either. You're just like,
Well,
yeah.
it's not true if it's not negative about you, right?
Well, that's also fair. So.
So, Derek, I think my favorite name, and this is not part of the segment, but since we're
Right.
on the best name segment, would
Yeah.
be Victor von Hausen, the vaudevillian
Vaudevillian
vampire.
Vampire.
Yep,
Is that on here?
I'm pretty sure it is. Or was that last year?
That was last year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that was my favorite.
Oh.
Or Butters Whoopstar Washington or
Yes,
whatever.
that was also last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you did your best creative work last year, which stands my whole point for this year, which you came in and had no inspiration.
But Derek, I would have won every bet if he would actually do them, though.
So
Because when you're the best, Derek, you don't even have to try.
now
Guys,
I will say your predictions were God tier. Let's just say that. That's why I stopped betting you, because it's like, this man knows something I clearly don't. He taps into some higher power that I don't have access to. I'm gonna leave this alone.
Amy says, "Thank you, thank you." Thanks, Zach. Don't remember my names. Half the time I'm not saying them right. Let's just be honest.
Orochimaru?
Yeah. Orochimaru. That's the right way to say it. Never mind. Oh, well, Derek, we've got 2 more segments for tonight, and I hope everybody's enjoying the show. Let's talk about the most anticipated game or games for 2025. A lot of this is still speculation, so may or may not happen.
Right.
But Derek, I think we both can agree on one game here, and that's Ghost of Yotei.
I was gonna say, come on, man. Like, do we have to say? I mean, I know that's why you said you backtrack and said games plural, because come on, man. Like, is there any other game that we're anticipated for besides Ghost of Yotei? Come on, man. Like, I know. Hop on the Sony ponies ride again. Like, let's come on. Like, come on, man. Like, and had it not been given a release year, we would have been like, if it launches like Ghost of Yotei, but like it's and again, like Zach said, he put a buffer in there saying that if it does, because they did, now if they said, all right, Q2 of 2025, we'd be like, all right, it definitely has to happen, right? But because they said just 2025, they're giving themselves wiggle room to push out of the year if they have to, which fine by me. If it makes the game better, it makes the game better. But yeah, like Ghost of Yotei, like we said earlier, that watching that state of play and seeing that trailer, like I'm watching it, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, is this Ghost? Is this Ghost? And then it kept going. Like they knew what they were doing. They knew we were waiting for an announcement of a sequel, and they were just playing with it, and made you wonder, like, and it got to a point where I'm like, all right, this has to be Ghost. And then you see the Sucker Punch logo, and you're like, there it is. Like, it no questions asked now. And it like, but another game, I'm trying to think of like other stuff that's launching next year. An honorable mention for me is on the Xbox side, and that is South of Midnight. Like, that is looking so good. I know we haven't seen it in a while, since I think the Xbox
Summer
Showcase.
Games Fest. Yes,
but I mean, that game looks so good. And I am so intrigued. Like I said, that is a Derek-esque game. If I ever saw one, just like Astrobot. So I'm excited to play it. I can't wait to see more. I need a release date. I think they gave like a release window per se, like maybe the first half of 2025. Don't quote me on that. I may be wrong, maybe misremembering.
They're just saying 2025 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe read a rumor where it was going to launch the first half of next year. I don't know. But if it launches, South of Midnight, I'm also looking forward to. And honorable mention again, like I might steal your thunder. It doesn't have a year, but if it launches next year, Gears of War E-Day. I don't think it will. I think that's going to be an early 2026 game. But if it does come out next year, E-Day is also on my radar. And what a year that would be for us if we like, because going back to 2022 where we got Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
If we got Ghost of Yotei and Gears of War E-Day in the same year, we'd be eating, boy.
Yeah. Definitely Ghost of Yotei, like Derek said. I am super excited for South of Midnight as well. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. Just the little bit of gameplay that we saw made me excited for it. Metal Gear Solid Delta would be one of mine.
Oh, yeah.
It looks so good, and them bringing it back and making it look better, I think is going to be fantastic.
Remember when people were saying, "Oh, it might like in October," like still thinking like it was going to launch this year, and I'm like,
yeah,
they would have definitely said that already. Like, I don't know what y'all smoking. So
yeah, exactly. Michael says GTA 6. If it happens, like that's one of those that's like, is it going to happen in 2025? But I feel like
I don't remember. All right, so I don't remember pre GTA 5. But at least the last couple Rockstar games that they put out, GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 that weren't remasters, the year they announced, when they announce it and they give a year, then they always delay it to the year following. Like GTA 5 was slated to come out 2012, got delayed to 2013. Red Dead Redemption was supposed to come out in 2017, got delayed to 2018. So if it launches in 2025, yes, you got it. But if it's following the trend of the previous two games, probably next year or 2026. So
one that I am interested in seeing more of is Marvel 1943.
Rise of Hydra. Is launching next year. Yes.
Yeah, that's Amy Hennig's new game where we see Captain America and T'Challa's father as Black Panther.
Correct.
Which I can't remember his name.
T'Chaka.
So I think that's going to be really good. Mafia, the old country looked interesting as well.
Yeah,
hopefully it will do better than Mafia 3.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that game had potential to do something, but it didn't really live up to it. It was interesting, but it just didn't.
Another one that we just recently saw at the Game Awards that also is kind of, I thought was like Asian Mafia, the old country, was Project Century by the people who do Like a Dragon. Again, I don't think it was given a release year. I think it was just announced. But that is, if it does launch next year, that game looks dope.
Yeah. Avowed. Like that's coming out in February on the 18th.
They need to be showing more because we haven't seen anything since Summer Game Fest. I think like maybe they did something in like September. Maybe they did something at Gamescom, I want to say, but it's been several months since we've seen anything on it. And it's coming out in February. So they need to like, I'm assuming they're letting the holidays go through, but then like first week, middle of January, they're going to go hard with the marketing on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're waiting to get past the
holiday season
and everything. Fragpunk is coming out. It's like a hero shooter with cards.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, that one looked pretty cool as well. But one that we saw at the Game Awards, I think is going to be pretty awesome is Split Fiction.
Yes.
Which Hazelight, it was a Hazelight?
Yeah, Hazelight.
Yeah, they did It Takes Two and then A Way Out. Two Brothers. So the co-op games essentially, and I think that's going to be really cool. So a lot of interesting things potentially happening next year. We've gotten games up until April, really.
Yeah.
Do you think, Derek, since we're talking about 2025 and
Mhm.
we saw Wolverine years ago,
Oh, yeah.
do
It was
you
the same
think,
showcase that we saw Spider-Man 2 for the first time too.
yep, do you think we potentially get Yote and Wolverine in the same year?
Oh, oh, in a perfect world, yes. I would say that it's always a possibility, right? Like you never want to completely rule it out
Hmm.
until they make the official announcement. But because it was 2021, the PlayStation Showcase, because we got Spider-Man, because that's when they gave it like almost a 2-year out release window. Um, and so it's been 5 years. It's who knows how long it's been development, but the last we saw it'll be almost 5 years ago. Well, no,
Yeah.
4 years ago. Um, do I think we see it resurface next year, like gameplays and whatnot? Sure. Do I think it launches next year? Again, anything is possible. I think it also determines when Yote launches, because if Yote launches like fall, like September, I
Yeah.
think Wolverine is a no-go then.
Yeah. I agree.
But if Ghost launches, let's say June, July, it has a strong possibility that Wolverine launches in July or September, October. But every fiber of my being says that game is a 2026 game. Like I think that is going to be first quarter, like a March 26 game. And again, even if it does get a release date of 25, I think it has a strong potential to get delayed into spring of 26.
Yeah. 26 could be Wolverine, and then Naughty Dog's new game.
Intergalactic, yeah.
Yeah.
That one I think that's more likely. I think we see Wolverine at the beginning of 26, Intergalactic toward the second half of 26.
Yeah. Which would be
Because
a great.
we always Naughty Dog has this uncanny ability to launch a new game at the end of a console life cycle anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of their thing. And because we got the remastered of 2 earlier this year,
Correct.
and 1 I feel like was late last year, if I remember
Uh,
right, or
no,
beginning of this. I
it was
Everything runs
around.
together.
No, I think you're thinking of the PC launch of
Yes,
Part One,
yes, that's what I
because
was thinking
the
about.
PlayStation 5 version launched shortly after the release of the
The
season 1
show.
TV show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking of the PC launch. Dan says, I'm excited for Space Engineers 2. Today, they just announced the release of the beta, which will be January 27th, and I already pre-ordered it. Well, let's go, Dan.
Oh,
I'm excited for you, man. We'll see more. And of course, there's also the potential of the new Nintendo console coming out next
correct.
year. If it follows the Switch, it'll be announced early January, because it was
Yeah.
announced around the second week of January back
Yeah.
in 20.
2017.
Yeah. So, and then we'll get it like in March or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is something we can almost count on at this point, that we're going to be seeing, because they're slowing down on the games.
Oh yeah, like they're pretty much pushing out the last couple like ports and remasters that they want to do, and then before they get us transition everything over to Switch 2, which it's crazy. Again, I know like I feel the opposite about the Switch than I do the PlayStation and Xbox consoles, because like when a new have a Merry Christmas, Mike. I'll talk to you soon, bud. Um in a world where I feel like, because Xbox and PlayStation are like take the forefront of the focus, and I feel like by the time we get to play a lot of the games, like, and then it's already transitioning to a new console, I feel like we never have enough time with those console generations.
Yes.
The Switch, and I don't want to say it's overstayed its welcome, but it feels like when you think about it, it came out 7 years ago, and Nintendo always has done this weird thing where they release in the middle instead of just doing a whole launch with the other two big wigs. They just do it like midway through, or like a couple years after the initial or before the initial launch of new consoles. It's crazy to think that the Switch has stayed around 7 years, it feels like it's been so long since we've gotten any new Nintendo hardware, but that's also coming off a generation where the Wii U came out and like I said, a fart in the wind, underachieved in major aspects, put in a lot of spears Nintendo on on the chopping block for whether they're going to continue to be console makers. And Nintendo like had to go make a fast turnaround and quit hemorrhaging money and made the switch. So kudos to them for lasting this long, because I feel like again, this is the first generation where they didn't have a handheld counterpart to a home console. They just made it a hybrid. And it took off by the storm. Like, yes, they did several iterations, but it's crazy to think that it's been 7 years since the Switch launched.
Yeah, and Switch came out March 3rd, 2017, and then the Wii U came out November 18th, 2012. So a little under 5 years for that cycle. And this one's been 7. But if you think about back in the day, like console cycles used to be much longer. They used to be like around 10 years. And I feel like Nintendo, because the Switch has been so successful, it's like, hey, let's just ride this wave and let's plan. Let's really plan. Let's see what has worked and what hasn't worked with the Switch, what we can do to, make it better, because I don't think we're going to get a weird Nintendo decision. And of course we could, because it is Nintendo and that's what they love doing. I think we get another iteration of the Switch, and we've talked ad nauseum about all of this, but I do think it is time. And I think it's also smart to release in between the bigger consoles, putting out new consoles, because everybody that's early adopters or even later adopters of those consoles have got them, and now they've got some money to spend, and now it's time to get a new.
Too is like, especially now when in the economy where your dollar has to be stretched so thin now, like you have to make it stretch. Yeah, like you can't have it to where you have 3 new consoles launching in the same year.
Yeah, so I am excited about that. And that brings us to our second to last, because we always like to wrap up of what we want to, what we're looking forward to the next year and everything. But what trend or trends to watch in gaming for next year?
So I obviously think one thing that's going to be sad is going to be like, I don't think the layoffs and closures are going to stop anytime soon. I think the number of layoffs, I think they'll be twofold, right? Like, I don't think we'll just see going into next year, because we saw some inklings of it middle to end of this year, but I think it'll be more of a thing next year. I don't think we just see just layoffs. I think we see layoffs because more studios are going to close, whether it be poor mismanagement of money, whether it be just bigger companies decide to be jerks and be like, hey, we don't think you're doing that great. You're not bringing in numbers, and we need to have mega booster sales. So you make fun games, but not enough to pad our pockets. You're closed. Bye. We saw that with Tango Gameworks. They made a great game in Hi-Fi Rush. Despite that, and it sold well on the PlayStation when it came to that earlier this year, and it was not enough to save them. Like, it came out on PlayStation, and then a couple months later, Xbox said, thanks, but you have to see the door now. So I think we see, yes, there's more layoffs, but I think we see more studio closures than this going into next year than we did this year. It's sort of like how the layoff trend started at the end of 23 and then it just ramped up in 24. I think we see that. I think the studio closures started this year and are going to ramp up more in 25, unfortunately. The other thing I think we'll see is, and it's been a constant battle in all atmospheres with voice actors. I know, and it kind of made me think, because when we were talking about it, you had mentioned like, oh, stupid AI type, like I didn't check it before I launched it, but I think we see, for better or for worse, I think we see more and more studios push the AI trend in using it, or at the very least use creative ways to bring in AI to force that to be a thing, despite, like, yes, maybe not in voice acting, maybe not in that, but you're going to see like maybe artists suffer. Like, it's like we see the voice actors, we saw voice actors both in anime, TV shows, and video games stand up and be like, yeah, I don't support this. And I think now with a bunch of like AI generated art, I think you see the artist guild like stand up and be like, hey, this ain't cool. Like I think they may use it in more different ways and say like, hey, we're not going to use it to generate voices, but we're going to use it to generate this piece of artwork or like generate this land or this landscape that we need to use for the game.
Yeah, because we're already seeing it in the writing side of things for
Right.
lower NPC kind of dialogue, especially over at Ubisoft. I
Yeah.
could see like there's a double edge with the AI because I do think that it can quicken work, especially if you have somebody that knows what they're doing, but it's just a starting point. It is not the end result. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's not the end result. You're getting a starting point. It's helping you create ideas or jumpstart stuff, especially if you got like writer's block or you need something like a concept to just get started or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that, but when it is invasive, it's the cover art when people are losing their job because people higher up don't understand that AI does not do it all.
Right.
It's not a magic bullet, and companies are always higher execs are always looking for a magic bullet to make crazy money and lower their overhead. And it's like that's not what this is. Like AI is artificially intelligent. It is not intelligent. Like it isn't a human being that is trained that knows all of these things. And I do think we start seeing some people lose their job because of AI. From that, it's because people, again, poor management, not understanding what the crap they're doing. But one of the trends that I think we'll see, and I'm hoping that we'll see as well, is live service games become less of a trend.
My brother, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was literally thinking it just now. I'm like, before you say anything, I'm like, another, because I was going to say it after you were done. I was like, I'm hoping for the death of live service games as a major thing going forward.
Yeah, I think we see less of these being put out there because this year we did see the death of The Last of Us live service game, which I think would have been huge. But again, it would have only been a few weeks and then it would have petered out. And then, we see Concord did the same thing. So I think people are more wary because it does cost so much money to make these games to begin with, whether they're live service or not. Like it just costs a ton. So I think that less people are going to be willing to put that money out there. I think Marathon will be the nail in the coffin for Sony.
Oh,
I think Marathon will be the nail in the coffin for Sony.
That or Fair Games, whichever comes out first.
I don't think people are, expecting a ton from Fair Games because they're an unknown. This is Bungie here, and Bungie was literally bought because of that reason. They know how to make a live service game. Right. So I think that is going to be the nail for them. Now, we will still have Fortnite because it's making bukudos money, and we're still going to have Warzone. I think Apex is definitely losing steam because I
agree.
I don't hear much about it anymore.
Well, and also they don't do events like they did, or like they don't do a lot of promoting of like their new seasons or events like they used to. So I think that plays part of it too.
Yeah. So, Overwatch has kind of lost its throne. Rivals is on its way up right now, but all of that's in flux because it is live service and you are respondent to the masses. Like you have to keep people interested in what you're doing, and that is super, super hard when essentially a game is a repeated thing over and over. There's a gameplay loop. And that's hard to keep people invested, and that's why you always see battle passes, season passes, whatever you want to call them, and then tons of cosmetics. That's where they make their money from. And I don't see that long term being the thing, just like MMOs eventually started to dwindle. Less companies were making MMOs because they couldn't compete with, World of Warcraft or some of
Mhm.
the others that, EverQuest or something like that. So it's like, I feel like we're at the point where more people are going to start doing maybe smaller projects, double A projects again, maybe seeing more tie-ins to some licensed stuff because
Mhm.
it gives them an IP to work with. And we've seen really great responses with that of Respawn with Jedi Survivor and Fallen
Correct.
Order. So I think we see some of that because I don't think you have to have major IPs to do this as well.
Mhm.
It
No.
might not be like the biggest open world game, but I still think you can do some amazing storytelling and have a limited budget because a lot of these publishers are not willing to put in 5 years for a game that might do well.
Correct.
They're willing to put in a good amount of money
Mhm.
for 2 years and then get double their investment or
Right.
triple their investment. That's what they're about now.
So, well said.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Are there any other trends that you think we might see?
No, you kind of hit it on the head. Like again, the death of live service into more like bringing back like single player or just like core multiplayer games. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like without I well, I guess you can't have that because if you want to have a multiplayer game, you have to have a tail end, a roadmap to keep it going.
Yeah.
But I hope it brings back like the thing, like the love of single player games. Like again, I almost feel like Astrobot winning, like thinking about this now, was a slight to live service games. Like in a world where the last like year and a half, 2 years, where people have been pushing more and more of live service, like Astrobot's like, yeah, we didn't do that. We just created a bomb platformer and it won game of the year. Like,
Well, and
suck
that's
it,
the
Trebek.
thing. It's like every one of the game of year contenders were all
Mhm.
single player. They were not
Correct.
live service games.
At least the
So,
last 5 years for sure.
well, I'm saying like specifically this year, but yeah, like
Mhm.
none of those are making that list. They might make the continuing,
Yeah,
service
like
or whatever.
the best ongoing game.
Yeah, and it's like, but you think about game of the year is always a single player
Mhm.
story driven thing because it shows what the craft is actually about.
Correct.
It's
And why we
everything
love video
coming
games.
together. Exactly. Exactly. So, Derek, let's move into our final section of the final episode of 2024 for the Nerd Cave News, our Nerd Cave Awards. And that is what we want to see for next year in the show.
So obviously, we've been talking about some things like, like I just want to do get more focused on like some of the big things, like obviously if we have the show, like if we have like the big like summer game fest, but I want to, we've been kind of toying with the idea the last couple of months of like just do like 2 or 3 major stories and just hone in on that, make it count, like not just do a bunch of dribble, like not just try and cover a week's worth of news into one, like just talk about the hits, but also like just do more and also do more with like obviously eat sleep anime, like obviously continue
Mhm.
that. Like we haven't really talked much about season 2 going in, but we just talked about like tightening up the ship a little bit and like what definitively want to see, but um like to see getting more and like obviously the whole thing is like we want to like try and get more games, like we kind of toyed with the idea of like reviews, and like we did it with Sparking Zero, didn't really do it with Lego Horizons, but that was more of a time constraint, and just like also it was like coming up on Thanksgiving release, so it's just like all right, we can't squeeze this in,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know is Game Awards.
Mhm.
So but I do want to get more into the fact of like do like initial reviews of like big games that like we're not, and not just saying like if eh, and that is saying like not just big releases in general. That's like big releases for us. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to force ourselves to play a game that doesn't interest us just because people want us to talk about it. Like sure, if one of us is interested, we'll get it. We'll talk about it. We'll do the initial couple, like first 2 or 3 weeks launch, and like do like just a initial thoughts and like, is this game worth it or not? But we're not going to say I know this is not going to be a thing, but let's say Fortnite 2 comes out next year, right? And we're not going to force it because neither one of us has played well.
Yeah.
I'm about to say I don't know if you have or have not.
I played Fortnite back in like 2016. So
when it first dropped, got you. But I have never touched Fortnite. Never planned to touch Fortnite. So since I didn't play the first one, I would never play a second one. So I'm not going to. I don't care how much money it makes. I don't care how much hype it is. If it doesn't interest me, I don't care to play it. So I do want to stick to and I think that's more authentic that way as well. Because it's authentic to us, it's authentic to the show. Like, we're not going to just nickel and dime you guys just for likes and shares. So I do want us to touch more on that for next year.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with like content next year being a little bit deeper instead of wide. With the stuff that we talk about and everything. And then some weeks, some weeks are lighter than others. So, it's just kind of the nature of the beast and everything. But one of the things that we had talked about when you were in town was doing, like you said, more reviews, talking about games that we like. Like, I haven't played the Sea of Stars DLC. And that's something that I really want to do. Maybe over my week break or whatever is I can, jump on that and try it out and, just talk about stuff, because the whole vision of the channel is like getting to just chat with your friends about things that you like. Right. That's the whole point of it. And it's like, we try to do it in a polished way. Sometimes, it's not super polished, but we try to present it in a way that's cognizant of your time, and we want to entertain and everything, but we also want to be trusted, and I feel like we are trusted because we're not saying, oh yeah, man, you should totally play,
Star Wars, as people would say,
Star Wars Outlaws or something like that. You know what I mean? Give them your $70. And it's being cognizant of that fact, going forward and everything. So that's one thing that I definitely want to do is more reviews and like having those discussions, trying to bring some people on that might have played it as well. If me and you don't play it, it's like have somebody else on that has played it with, that sort of deal, like Bo or somebody, that's like, because like I do really enjoy like having those discussions, like when we did Spider-Man 2 back in the day. Like I thought that was really fun to be able to dive deep into that and get a formula that works. If we're doing more of them, we're going to develop a formula that we're not just recounting the story, you know what I mean? We're able to talk more about our experiences and everything. But that, and then Eat Sleep Anime, I definitely want to do more, just like you said. And it's one of those shows that I think has a lot of potential as well.
For sure.
Which is kind of crazy that our anime stuff does better than our video game stuff on our channel. But
anime is great.
Anime is great. And just making a concerted effort of trying to make the best content that we possibly can every time we turn on the cameras. And that might mean sometimes less content a week to be able to provide more quality. And sometimes it might be more content because there's more stuff going on. And it's just understanding that there's ebbs and flows with the different things. And we're still figuring this out. You know what I mean? Like it's all
it's all perfectly legal.
Yeah. So it's, figuring that out and how we can continue to tap into the things that we enjoy. Because it's not fun talking about things that you don't care about.
No.
You know what I mean?
You can definitely, like, y'all have watched us long enough to know that you can definitely tell in our tone, which, like, when we don't care for something, we're just like, yep, and we move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. There's sometimes when we're watching those announcement, state of play or whatever, and then it's just like, yeah, this ain't it, Chief.
Nope, not bored. Concord.
Yeah, there was a few that were definitely like that, but yeah, that's kind of the, and Derek and I are going to be chatting over the next few weeks, because the show will start back next year. Of course, we're taking our winter break, if you will.
Yeah.
So
everyone can enjoy their holidays with their loved ones.
Exactly, and we're gonna have a lot of good times. We're gonna plan things out and come back fresh, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, as they like to say, and everything. But I'm excited for 2025. I'm looking forward to getting into more content. If Pokemon Pocket keeps going the way it is, man, we're talking about some Pokemon.
I should have been controversial. I should have said, "Oh, I have another overrated game, Pokemon Pocket."
Yeah. Well, Astrobot would have been overrated too. So.
Oh.
If we're going to throw jabs,
hey man,
I got a
game of the year. So
I got a mean right hook. You know what I mean? I got a mean right hook. So just saying,
right chicken wing is what you mean.
That's all you eat, sir. That's all you eat, guys. We hope that you've enjoyed all of the content this year. We will be back in the next few weeks. We'll announce the date and everything. We do have a Eat Sleep Anime that will be announcing a date and where you can watch all of that. So keep an eye out on all the social channels and the Discord and all that good stuff. But we hope that you have a fantastic rest of the week and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Because this has been Zach
and Derek.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.